Hi everybody and welcome to this week's Advanced Cambridge lesson. Every week we do an exercise from the exam, and this week we are focusing on exercise 4, specifically from the use of English section, and this will be very interesting today. It will be very important for people preparing the exam, but also it's a very good exercise for people in general, practicing English. And I think everybody can learn something from this lesson today. So thank you for watching live. Thank you for watching recorded. I hope this lesson will help a little. Okay, if you have a question, if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the chat. And it's very good to interact with other people. And I hope that you enjoy the lesson. I hope you can understand me speaking in English. It's an advanced lesson, so I feel I can speak a little bit more fluently, but the subtitles are available. So if you want to select subtitles, you can choose that option, and this will show you the words that I am using during my lesson, more or less. Okay, so first, contact. If you want to contact me on social media, I have my Instagram account, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, and WhatsApp as well. So you're very welcome to contact me on any of those pages, and it's good to follow me on those channels. Everything is the same more or less as last week, so the schedule is almost identical. We have 18 lessons per week and completely different topics. So today we're on the advanced exam, and later today we do Escuela Oficial de Idiomas exam. It's another type of English exam, very typical in Spain, and that again will be more practice in English. So lots of different topics, lots of different lessons every week, and I hope you can join some of them and follow the class. Thank you for your participation and thank you for watching. Everything is free and everything is for the public. This is my idea since the pandemic. I started teaching online for free, and I think it's a very good idea, a very good project to try to help people learning English online. And my objective is to grow the Facebook page and to grow and grow and grow more and more. Okay, so everything is free, but if you want to support me, you can support me with a subscription, with my bank account if you want to make a transfer, or more conveniently with PayPal. There's an option on PayPal to make a payment, and all the information is on my Facebook post, on the top post on Facebook. And that's more or less everything for today. Also, if you are a business, if you are a company and you want to advertise and sponsor my lesson as a company, you can put your business information here and I can promote your business or school during this lesson as well. And that's perfect for me because at this moment it's impossible for me to give conversation lessons. So this is the best I can do at the moment, and I'm happy to put people in contact with your school or your business if you want to support me. Okay, let's begin the lesson. So you might be familiar with the structure of the Cambridge exam. If you are not familiar, I recommend you watch my first video. My first video explains all the different parts of the exam, and this is essential to understand the exam in total. However, every week I progress to a different part, and this is the 4th week. So naturally, we are on the 4th exercise, and this is the 4th exercise here. Very difficult. You remember last week we did part 3, and part 3 is a different style completely. You have one word, and it's necessary to change the form of the word, and that exercise was very interesting and very useful and a very good English practice. The week before we did this exercise part 2, and there's no options. You must guess the correct word from your vocabulary and from your memory, and that was very tricky as well. So we've lots of tricky exercises but very important. And finally, part 1, if you remember, was the multiple choice. One article from a newspaper with options 8 different options, A, B, C, and D, and of course the options are very similar. So very difficult, and this is the section of use of English. Let me show you. I'll show you just to recap a little. So this is the first page. Reading and use of English are together. So you have 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's 90 minutes to complete 8 different exercises. So that's approximately 10, 11 minutes per exercise. And very, very tricky. So the first 4 parts are called use of English. And as I said, we have completed the first 3, and today we do part 4. Okay, technically the name is keyword transformation. The focus is on grammar, vocabulary, and collocation, so basically positions of prepositions and positions of words. Here is the instruction. We have 6 separate items, each with a sentence, 1 sentence, and a second empty sentence, to be completed in 3 to 6 words. So a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 6, and 1 word is already given to us that we must use. And that is the end of the use of English section. Next week we move to the reading, and reading is very, very difficult. So you have 4 different parts of the reading, and this begins next week. And the reading exercises are very hard. For me, as a fluent native English speaker, I have a lot of difficulty to do the reading. I have lots of difficulties to do the readings, so it's very difficult, I think, for everybody. But let's begin today. So we're on part 4, and basically, what is part 4? So this is the description. Exactly what is part 4. So let me read this just before we begin. In this part, there is an emphasis on grammar and vocabulary. It's called keyword transformation. Each correct answer receives 0, 1, or 2 marks. So you have a possibility for 2 marks per question. Part 4 consists of 6 questions plus an example. Each question contains 3 parts. The first part is the first sentence. The second part is the principal keyword. And the third part is the second sentence with only the beginning and the end, and you have a space in the middle. Candidates have to, obligation, fill the gap in the second sentence so that the completed sentence is similar in meaning to the first sentence. So basically the second sentence must have a similar significance to the first sentence. Almost the same. The significance must be almost the same, as same as possible. Okay, so the gap must be filled between 3 and 6 words. So a minimum of 3, maximum of 6, and one of the words must be the word given. You cannot change the word. You must keep the word the same form. It cannot change. Okay, remember part 3 is different, but part 4, the word must stay the same. In this part of the paper, the focus is on lexical and grammatical. So vocabulary and grammar is the test, and a range of structures are tested. So there's lots of different combinations, different structures in English that are tested in this particular exam. The ability to express a message in a different way shows flexibility and resource in the language. So your ability to say one thing in a different way is the test also. The mark scheme splits, separates, divides the answers into 2 parts, and you have 1 mark for each part. Okay, so that is part 4. Now we know, let's look at the exercise, and here we begin. I think today we just do 6 questions, so today's lesson is very short, and I wanted to have high quality as well. So here is the example 0. The sentence: James would only speak to the head of the department alone. So that's the first sentence. James would only speak to the head of the department alone. The word we must use is on. That's an obligation. We must use the word on, and this is necessary to use. The second sentence is James, space, to the head of the department alone. So very similar, but we must complete the sentence to make the second sentence similar, almost the same as the first sentence. Minimum 3 words, maximum 6 in the advanced level. In the first certificate, it's minimum 2, maximum 5, but the advanced exam, it's minimum 3 and maximum 6. So it's difficult. It's very, very difficult because the word is on and we must think of the substitution. So to the head of the department alone exists in the second sentence and also exists in the first sentence. So we can eliminate that calculation. James exists in the first and James exists in the second. So the substitution, the direct substitution, the only substitution is this part, would only speak. Only. Nobody else, no other person. He only wanted to speak to the head of the department. And the structure with on is insist on. That's the structure in English. To insist on is almost to demand, or it's very important structure in English, the verb to insist on. Let me put the vocabulary here. to insist on is, well, the verb is to insist. For example, I want to pay for the meal in the restaurant. I want to pay for the coffee in the cafe. I want to pay. I insist. Okay, so the verb is I insist, but the typical structure is I insist on paying for the food. Okay, so the structure is I insist on plus the gerund. I insist on going. I insist on contacting. I insist on making. So insist on plus the gerund, the ing, has the significance that you want to do this. You will not accept another option. This is the only way. I insist on paying. So this is exactly the same. James the only way to speak to the head of the department. So James insisted on speaking. And that's a very good example to complete the sentence. And this is the exercise. This exactly is the exercise. Wait, so sorry. So this example is the exercise, and this is exactly what we need to do in the first exercise. Okay, so 25 is difficult. 25 is difficult. Okay, so the first sentence, I hope you can see, I hope the size is okay. So the first sentence, my brother now earns. Earn is typical with money, earn respect, earn a reputation. So earn far less, very important. Far is distance, but it's also possible with more and less. So far more means a lot more, and far less means a lot less. So my brother now earns a lot less than, comparison, he did, and did is the substitution for the verb earn. So my brother now earns far less than he earned when he was younger. Complicated sentence. You need time to think. You need time to think about this sentence because it's a little complicated. So relax. Try to understand perfectly. My brother now earns far less money than he did when he was younger. Now, the word that's necessary is nearly. The word nearly must be included in the second sentence. Minimum 3 words, maximum 6 words. And we have my brother, and we have much now as he did when he was younger. So as he did when he was younger exists in the first sentence exactly, and the second sentence, as he did when he was younger, exists in the second sentence. So we can eliminate this part of the sentence. My brother exists in the first sentence and both the second sentence. So we can also eliminate this part, my brother. The only part we need to calculate is now earns far less than. So we need to substitute this particular part into the second sentence in a particular way. And it's very difficult. Maybe it's an opportunity for you now to try in the comments, and this is important. So to interact, take your time and put your answer in the comment section if you wish, and try to find the answer. So if you want to comment in the chat, put your answer in the chat box, and it's a good opportunity to practice and to interact. Okay, so it's difficult. How do I explain? It's very difficult for me to explain, but I can try to give you the answer. Yes. So first, the verb to earn. My brother now earns less. Now, so now also exists. So we, in fact, we can just this part, earns far less. And the key part here is much and as. Okay, as much as. So the structure here is as much as. That's the first structure. As much as. For example, I don't have as much time as you have. So this structure, as much as, is the first structure necessary in the sentence. So I think the verb is to earn as much as. So my brother earns as much as now as he did. No, sorry, my brother earns as much now as he did. That's the first possibility. My brother earns as much now as he did when he was younger. The significance is my brother has the same salary now compared to when he was younger. But this is different compared to the first sentence, because the first sentence says my brother's salary at the moment is less compared to his salary when he was younger. So it's different. So we must conjugate the second sentence in the negative to make the sentence the same as the first. So my brother does not earn as much now as he was when he was younger. So that's perfect. My brother does not earn as much now as he did when he was younger is perfect. Everything is great. Let me write. So my brother does not earn as much. So we have much already. That's the answer in my opinion. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6 words. Sorry, we have my brother already. Does not earn is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. My brother does not earn as much now as he did when he was younger. Perfect. But, big but, we have no nearly. We must include the word nearly, and nearly is the substitution for far. Okay, so nearly is the substitution, I think, for far. Far is emphasis. So my brother now earns less, perfect, but far less is more intense. So nearly is also more intense. So the position of nearly, my brother does not earn nearly as much, and that's more emphasis. This is very difficult sentence, but I think that is the correct answer. For example, we have other possibilities. I am not nearly as tired now as I was this morning. So again, a very long sentence, but I am not, basically, I am not as tired as I was this morning, but nearly is more emphasis, more intense. 25 is very difficult, and that's the first part to explain this first exercise. So that is difficult, 25. And now we move to 26. And of course, 26 will be tricky as well. Okay, 26, you can see, and I'll just zoom in a little to make it bigger. 26. They are demolishing the old bus station and replacing it with a new one. So they, the people, we don't know, the people, they are demolishing is the present continuous, the old bus station. And they are replacing present continuous, so the subject and the verb is the same as the beginning, and replacing it is the substitution for the bus station with a new one, and one is also a substitution for a bus station. Difficult, but let's look at the second sentence. The old bus station is something with a new one. Okay, so with a new one exists in the first sentence and exists in the second sentence. The old bus station exists in the first sentence, but it also exists in the first sentence in a different position. And we have the verb to be, and we have the verb pulled. So it's very, very difficult, and this exam is very tricky. So pulled, what is the substitution? We don't know. You need to think, and this is your opportunity. Take your time, try to complete this. What do you think is the possible answer? Okay, so let's start at the beginning. They is the subject. In the second sentence, we need probably to calculate and to include they in the second sentence. Okay, the verb are demolishing. This is the present continuous. What is the representation of demolishing in the second sentence? Maybe it's connected to pull, because the verb to demolish is similar to pull. So the difficult part is to identify the phrasal verb. In English, there is a phrasal verb connected to pull, and the phrasal verb is to pull down. Okay, so the phrasal verb is to pull down, and the significance is similar to demolish. That's the best explanation I can explain. That's the best thing I can say to you, that to pull down is similar to demolish. Okay, so demolish can substitute for pull down. However, the verb is, and the position of the old bus station is in the wrong position. So in the first sentence, the old bus station is the object. However, in the second sentence, it's the subject. And this is a classic example of the active voice and the passive voice. At advanced level, I hope I don't have to explain what the active and the passive voice is. In fact, yesterday in my grammar lesson, I explained the active and the passive voice. Basically, very quickly, the active is the typical structure. I drink the tea. So that's the active. I, subject, verb, drink, object, the tea. To create the passive, we change the position of I and the tea. The tea, we add an auxiliary verb to be, is participle, drunk by me. And that is the passive. So here we have the auxiliary verb is, and it's necessary in the same tense. The tense is the present continuous, so it must be is being. So the old building is being, I think, is the correct beginning, and demolished is pulled down. So again, the phrasal verb pull down is a substitution for demolished. Calculation for they, by them, maybe. So the old bus station is being pulled down by them. Also, we must calculate replaced. So can we just say exactly the same? And replaced with a new one? No, because replaced is the past simple. And here we have the present continuous in the auxiliary verb to be plus the participle. So this is the passive. So the second verb probably must be the same and is being replaced with a new one. For me, this is very, very close to the answer. I think this is almost correct. So the old bus station is being pulled down and is being replaced with a new one. So we have too many words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we have 8 too many. By them, sometimes you can forget. You don't have to include by them sometimes in the passive. So is being pulled down is 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have too many words. So the difficulty, the big difficulty is here. This is the big difficulty with a new one. So the old bus station is being pulled down and replaced. Let's see. If we eliminate being, that is, oh, we have is already. That's lucky. So already we have is. So the old bus station is being pulled down and being replaced. So let's suggest that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my answer. The old bus station is being pulled down and being replaced by a new one. That's very, very difficult. And this style of exercise is very difficult. It's a very difficult exercise, but you need to become accustomed to it immediately. You need to be very familiar with it immediately, and you need to practice these types of exercises as soon as possible. And they're very, very interesting. Very difficult because the detail is very important, and sometimes people forget one word, and that's a problem. So there's 2 marks for each question. So for example, there's 1 mark for this part and there's 1 mark for the second part, something like that. Okay, let's continue to number 27. And the question for number 27, the first sentence is, I hope you can see it okay, the number of students now at university has reached an all-time high, apparently. And the word we must include is the. So the second sentence, the number of students now at university is exactly the same. So that's okay. We can eliminate this part. Apparently we can eliminate. So the only calculation is has reached an all-time high. We must calculate and substitute has reached an all-time high in the second sentence. Is the. In my mind, I have an answer. So in my mind, yes, I have an answer because of my experience hearing English since I was a child. Because I'm a native English speaker, I have a good idea about this answer. To explain to you, it's very difficult. So in this situation, it's the noun, okay? So high is the noun, and the article is the indefinite article connected to high. The adjective is all time. The verb is to reach, and it's the present perfect, has reached. So is the transformation high from noun to the other noun is all-time high is another way to say is the highest. So I think for 27 is the highest, and already this includes the article the, so the word is included here, the highest. Being all time, yes, the answer is clear for me. Being is the participle, so probably we need the present perfect, and the present perfect is has been. Okay, has been. And to complete the sentence, we need the subject is the highest, it has been. Okay, so that's a little better. So the number of students now in university is the highest it has been. And all time, how do we calculate all time? There's another possibility to improve this sentence, and I think the word ever makes this sentence more correct. So the number of students now at university is the highest it has ever been. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, and I think that's correct for number 27. So 26 is here, and 27 is here as well. And I think that's everything correct. 25 we said already was here, so let me change the position just to make everything organized. So 25 is here, and 26 and 27 are there. Okay, so 3 more. We're halfway there. Okay, 28. We look at the question, and it's on the next page. And I give you a moment. I'm disappointed with the Fishers' new album when I compare it to their previous one. So I give you a moment and I take a little drink and a little break, and you have to complete the second sentence. I think the Fishers' new album is something comparison their previous one, and we need a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 6. What do you think? Do you have an idea? So the first sentence, I am disappointed with the Fishers' new album. That's the subject, the verb, and the object. When, it's a linker, and the next clause is the new subject. I compare it, object, to the previous one. I think the Fishers' new album is something to their previous one. So the Fishers' new album exists in the first sentence and exists in the second sentence. The previous one, their previous one, their previous one. So we have a lot. When I compare it to, we have 2 big parts, the comparison and disappointed. Okay, so 2 big calculations to represent in the second sentence, disappointed and comparison. So comparison is clearly connected to this part. Okay, that's the connection, but this connection we need to include. I think the Fishers' new album is, so the first sentence is the adjective, I'm disappointed, but I think the album is, so the difference between I and the object for disappointed, I am disappointed, but the album is disappointing. It's like excited, exciting, bored, boring. It's very, very important, the difference between the adjective in the ed and the adjective in the ing, and I think this is a good example. So I think the Fishers' new album is a disappointment, let's say. So where are my notes? Is a disappointment. And then the structure here, always, more or less always, the structure with comparison is in comparison with. And I think that is always the structure, a disappointment in comparison with their previous one. And I think that's perfect. I think everything is included. I think the Fishers' new album is a disappointment in comparison with their previous one. And I don't see anything we have forgotten. I think we have included everything. I'm disappointed with the Fishers' new album when I compare it to the previous one. I think the Fishers' new album is a disappointment in comparison with their previous one. For me, that's correct. But of course, I might have a mistake. Do you agree? Are you happy with that answer? Do you think everything is correct? And again, put your comment in the chat here in Facebook and I can answer your question later. And next, very interesting as well, the first sentence. Oh, sorry. The first sentence is Anna. Anna is the subject. Got is the verb to get is very, very flexible with the significance to obtain or to achieve. In the past, it's irregular, so get and got. She obtained the job, even though, very, very good, very nice, even though is important. She, so it's the linker. She is the new subject for the new clause. Didn't have is the verb, have in the past, negative. Didn't have, object, experience. She didn't have much experience in public relations. So Anna got the job, even though she didn't have much experience in public relations. So the first part, Anna got the job, is exactly the same. Experience in public relations, is also exactly the same. And we need to find even though she didn't have. Okay, so the first part is very important. Even though is a type of substitution for this word spite. And probably you know the answer here. In English, we say in spite of. That is the structure. The second possibility is just despite. So in spite of is the same significance as despite. Very important not to confuse. They're two completely different structures, in spite of and despite. For example, in spite of the rain, despite the rain. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So of only with the first structure. Okay? Second structure, no. No of, no. First structure is in spite of, okay? So I think this is the answer here. So it's the substitution for even though. For example, even though it is raining, I will go to the city centre. Despite the rain, I will go to the city centre. In spite of the rain, I will go to the city centre. It's the same significance. So even though Anna got the job, in spite of, I think is the beginning. Okay, in spite of. And then of experience, she didn't have much experience. What is the substitution for this sentence? She didn't have much experience and something of experience. Yes, there is a substitution. And the key part is the preposition of. And when you don't have, it's insufficient. You don't have time. You don't have energy. You don't have food. You don't have money. Insufficient money, insufficient time, insufficient energy, insufficient. A synonym for insufficient with of is a lack of. This is very advanced, but the best synonym here is a lack of. A lack of time, a lack of energy, a lack of food, a lack of motivation, a lack of patience, a lack of. That's almost the same as a shortage of, almost exactly the same. Okay, so Anna got the job in spite of lack of experience, in spite of lack of experience, but we are missing something because lack is the noun, so we need the article, the lack of, but more specifically, I think it's possessive adjective, her lack of, so in spite of her lack of experience. For me, this is perfect. So Anna got the job in spite of her lack of experience in public relations. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it possible another word? Maybe. She didn't have much experience despite of her lack of experience. I think that's okay for the moment. And that seems to be correct. Obviously, we check the answers now in one moment, but this is one example and one answer. I'm pretty happy. Next, number 30. I must. Sorry. Okay. First, we. The first thing to notice is the quotation. When you have a quotation, this is considered direct speech. In English, grammatically, there is an area, a topic called direct speech and reported speech. So let me put this here. There is a section in English called direct speech and reported speech. And it's very important, the difference. Okay, so when you have the quotation, this is typically direct speech. And it's necessary to write the quotation comments in a different way, and that is reported speech. For example, I like chocolate. This is direct speech and it's the present simple. The reported speech changes a little and it says Brian said that he liked chocolate. So because I am reporting in the past, it's necessary the verb changes to the past in reported speech. So direct speech, you have the tense, But in the past, in the reported speech, it's necessary to change. So the present goes to the past simple. The past simple, he goes to the past perfect. So that's the general first very important rule of direct speech and reported speech. So this is the same, I think, because it's direct speech and probably reported speech. So I must warn you, I have the obligation, I must warn you, alert you, I must tell you, I must alert you, I must warn you. How dangerous it is, so it is very dangerous, but how dangerous it is to cycle at night without any lights, said the police officer to Max. So Max received, so you receive something. Okay, so here we have at night without any lights, at night without any lights from the police officer, more or less from the police officer. So maybe said and cycling and dangerous and warn. So we've three, this is very difficult, we've three parts, warn, dangerous, cycle, and said maybe. So you receive probably substitutes with warn, because in English the verb to receive is typical, a warning. You receive a warning. And that's the first possibility, I think, to receive a warning. Okay, so you receive a warning. So here we have the noun, and in the sentence it's the verb. So Max received a warning. What? Okay, here we have the noun dangers in plural, and in this situation it's the adjective. So with the noun, we typically say the article, and the article is the dangers. So I think number 30 is Max received a warning. The dangers cycling at night. So this is the first effort. This is the first attempt, but we need to improve this. So Max received a warning. The dangers cycling at night. So we need to connect this a little bit better. See a warning. What? A warning about, or a warning of. I think about is a bit better. Received a warning about, or received a warning of the dangers cycling. We need a connection. Dangers of cycling at night. For me, that's very good. So this is more fluent. Max received a warning about the dangers of cycling at night without any lights from the police. And I think that's everything. Said probably is a substitution from the police officer. So I think we can forget about said a little. And that is number 30, I think. So now it's the moment to check the answers. So this is part 4. Completely different compared to part 3, completely different compared to part 2, and part 1 completely different. We have 6 questions and we have 2 marks per question. 1 mark for the first part and 2 marks, the second mark for the second part. And it's necessary to use the word. We must use the word that they give us, and a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 6. And that is the exercise. Okay, so very, very interesting. And on average, the time, you only have maybe 10, 11 minutes on average in general to complete this part, 10, 11 minutes. And today we are 45 minutes, but that's okay because we're learning a lot. So let's check the answers. The answers are here. And of course, I might have a lot of mistakes. There's definitely a big possibility that I will have a lot of mistakes. And the first part is here. And here we go. Does not earn nearly as. Does not earn. That's the first part. And that is point 1. And nearly as is the second part. So it's very difficult to interpret. It's very difficult to understand. Does not earn nearly as. So you've lots of possibilities. Doesn't earn nearly. So, okay, so you must interpret this answer a little bit yourself. But basically, it's possible to say does not earn and nearly as much, or nearly so much. Okay, so there's lots of possibilities here. 26. Being pulled down is the first part, and that's correct. Good. to be pulled down and replaced. Okay, and being. So being is an option. So this answer is very difficult to read. It's very, very difficult to read and understand, but you can see being replaced, and that's correct as well. So that's 2 from 2. So the first one is 2 from 2, and the second one is 2 from 2. 27. The highest is the first part. That is an option. It has ever is the second part, and that's correct. And that's 2 from 2. It's possible a contraction, it's, but that's okay. It has ever been is 2 from 2, so that's fine. 28. Disappointing is a disappointment. So that's the first part, and you have options. It's possible to say disappointing also in the adjective. So that's part 1. In comparison with, in comparison with. So that is 2 from 2. And I hope you tried this exercise yourself. I hope you had an effort. I hope you had an attempt to try this exercise yourself. 29. In spite of is part 1. That's the first point. And the second point, her lack. Or the option is a lack. Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry, Siri. Pardon me. So the second part is her lack, and that's the 2 marks. So that's 2 from 2. And the final one, number 30, a warning about, a warning regarding. So that's fine. That's the first part. And the second part, the dangers of cycling, or the dangers when cycling. And that's good as well. So very good. So I obviously have experience doing this before, and I maybe remember some of the answers more or less, but it's very good practice for everybody to try part 4. Good. So normally we try 2 exercises, but today we just have the 1, and I think that's sufficient. Next week we move to part 5. So we move to a completely different section next week. The section is reading, and that is a big part of the exam, and always English exams have reading sections, but it's very, very tricky. And here we have multiple choice. So we have one topic about the history of colour. Red, yellow, white. So it's a very strange topic about all the different colours that we have in English and the history in the world. And we have multiple choice questions, A, B, C, and D. We have 4 options. It's very, very difficult because the 4 options could be all possible. And our job is to find the correct answer. And it's not easy. So that's part 5. So probably next week, we move to the reading, I think. I will not confirm until next week, but I think next week should be the reading exercise. Okay, any questions, please put your question in the Facebook chat. I can answer your question at the end of the lesson, and I can reply to any questions that you have. Also, if you have a specific question, you can contact me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, or WhatsApp. If you want to ask a particular question, or if you have a doubt, you are welcome to contact me on all of those channels. Everything is similar. My schedule is here. And today we're obviously on Monday, and we're looking at the Cambridge Advanced exam. But now we move to another English exam that's more popular in Spain. It's the Escuela Oficial de Idioma exam in English. It's the official language school in Spain, and we have an English exam to look at today as well. So that's very interesting, and that will be the next lesson. Everything is free and everything is for the public, but if you want to support me, you can support me with a subscription or a donation, and the bank details are here, or you can do it via PayPal as well. And all the options are on my Facebook page, and it will be a very big help for me and a big support as well. Also, companies, I'm asking companies or contacting businesses, companies in relation to education who might want to sponsor or finance or fund my project, and you can advertise with me, and I can speak about your business here during this lesson as well if you want. That could be very interesting. And that's it. So I hope that you have a very good day today, and that you can enjoy your Monday. Have a good week, and thank you for watching live, and thank you for watching recorded as well. Remember, today's topic was the Cambridge Advanced Certificate exam and the use of English exercise 4. Thank you for watching live, and thank you for watching recorded as well. If you want to like this video, perfect. And if you want to put a friend in contact with this page, even better. Thank you so much. Have a good day, and hopefully talk to you soon. Bye bye.